Hi guys and welcome to today's tutorial. In today's lesson we're going to look at consumer and resolving conflict between consumer and retailer. So we're going to do a quick summary on it. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is consumer is the person who buys a product and the one that uses it. And then like a customer is somebody who buys any product and maybe they might give it to somebody else. But a consumer is the one that actually buys it and uses it for themselves. So the first thing we're going to look at is the sale of goods and supply of Services Act. (1980). Okay, so the first thing is that this Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act 1980, it sets out the rights of the consumer, so the rights of consumer, and the responsibilities of the retailer. So there's a few things that this Act states, and when you're buying goods it states that it must be of merchantable quality. So of merchantable quality, that just means of quality that could be that's worthy of sale. The second one thing, it must be fit for the purpose. So whatever purpose it states it's for, it must be actually fit for that purpose. The third thing that it states is it must be as described, so the same as the description. And the fourth thing that this Act states is that it must be the same as a sample. Now we're going to look at what does this Act mean for the supply of services. Well, it means a few things. The first one is that the person given the service must do the job properly. So complete job properly. The second thing this Act states is that the materials must be of good quality. Of good quality. And the third thing that this Act states is that the person supplying the service must have the necessary skills. So I'll say necessary skill. Necessary skill. If there is a problem with a product, there is some solutions. Okay, so we call these like remedies or redress. Okay, so to like the solution. So basically, we'll call it remedies. So if there's a problem with the goods or the service, you're entitled to a refund, or you're entitled to a repair, or replace. So get replaced. And the fourth one is a credit note, if that's what you wish to have. And just one thing to note is you get to decide what you want if the product is faulty or if there's something wrong with the product or the service. You get to decide if you want to have a refund, a repair, replace, or a credit note. A lot of businesses try to make you have a repair or give you a credit note because they want you to keep spending money in the shop, but you are entitled to a full refund if there's a problem on their end. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is the Consumer Protection Act 2007. So Consumer Protection Act 2007. And this Act was put in place to try and make sure that manufacturers and retailers act fairly and tell the truth about their products. Up there, it protects the consumers. So there's a few different things you need to know. And the first thing is you need to know that the functions of the NCA. So the NCA is the National Consumer Agency. That's what that stands for, and they are the ones who are in place and basically make sure that this Consumer Protection Act, is actually seen through, and it actually does happen. So there's a few different functions. Okay, the first function is that it protects consumers. Protects consumers. The second thing this National Consumer Agency does is it informs consumers. So it informs consumers about their rights. The next one that it does is that it enforces the law. So if there is a problem, it's able to enforce the law. The fourth thing it advises the government. So when the government is trying to pass legislation and introduce new acts, it advises the government on what is fair and what they should actually do. And the fifth function of this NCA is that it investigates. So investigates cases, and it refers cases if they need to be referred. And they refer these cases to the Director of Public Prosecutions. Okay, so how does the NCA protect consumers? So it protects consumers in many ways. And the first one is it protects them by false or misleading statements. So by false or misleading statements. It protects consumers by controlling the prices, by price control. The third way it protects consumers is by the code of practices that they have drawn up. So code of practices. So code of practice, which is drawn up by traders. Protects consumers by having fair advertising. By not having false advertising, which may trick like the consumers into purchasing their products by saying something like that the product is in like short supply. Another way they protect the consumers by they prohibit and stop like aggressive practices. So stop aggressive practices, and these aggressive practices would be things like harassment or trying to like use force to influence the consumers, to try like make them scared into like purchasing the goods. So if retailers do break this Consumer Protection Act, the National Consumer Agency has got sanctions that they can issue. So sanctions and penalties. So the first sanction that they can do is they can take the retailer to court, so take the court. The second thing that they can do is they can issue them with a compliancy note. So a compliancy notice. So basically telling them that they need to stop doing what they're doing and basically obey the law. They can also issue a prohibiting order. So prohibition order, and this order basically is from the court, and it tells them they need to stop, or else they are breaking the law. They can issue them with fines, usually on the spot. On the spot fines. The fifth thing they can do is name and shame. So name and shame the business, so the retailer. And how they name and shame is by publishing a consumer protection list of traders' names who have not complied with the consumer protection laws. If the consumer like suffers like some damages, there's a few things that they can get. The first thing they can get is some compensation. So some compensation to the value of the loss. And the second thing that they can actually do is exemplary damages, and this is when they're fined an extra amount, like sum of money, as a punishment for them breaking the Consumer Protection Act. So exemplary damages. Okay, so that's it for today's tutorial. We looked at resolving conflict, and we looked at two acts, two really, really important acts you need to know: Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act 1980, and we looked at the Consumer Protection Act 2007. It's really important you know both those acts. They come up a lot on the Business Leaving Cert exam, so please do learn them off. If you'd liked the video, you can leave me some feedback, and don't forget to check out our other videos where you can find many more for the Leaving Cert business.